You don't open social media because you're bored. You open it because something inside you wants relief. Relief from silence. Relief from stillness. Relief from the moment where you might have to sit with yourself. At first, it feels harmless. A quick scroll, a few minutes, just checking what's new. But minutes stretch into hours without you noticing. And when you finally put the phone down, something feels off. Not dramatic, just slightly empty. You've been surrounded by people all this time. Faces, voices, stories, opinions. And yet you feel strangely alone afterward. Not lonely in an obvious way, lonely in a quiet, dull way. Social media promises connection, but what it often delivers is stimulation. And stimulation is not the same as connection. It keeps you occupied without truly engaging you. It fills time without nourishing attention. What makes social media so powerful isn't weakness, it's design. Your brain is wired to seek novelty, to respond to unpredictability, to chase small rewards. Likes arrive sometimes. Notifications appear randomly. Interesting content shows up just often enough to keep you scrolling. Your brain learns quickly. It associates scrolling with relief, with distraction, with a temporary escape from discomfort. Over time, boredom becomes unbearable. Silence feels awkward. Waiting feels irritating. Any pause becomes an invitation to reach for your phone. You're not addicted to content. You're responding to a loop that rewards attention with tiny bursts of stimulation, a loop that trains your nervous system to avoid stillness. What starts as entertainment slowly becomes regulation. You scroll when you're anxious. You scroll when you're tired. You scroll when you feel disconnected. You scroll when you don't know what you're feeling at all.
And the more you scroll, the harder it becomes to stop. Not because you want more, but because stopping means facing what was underneath. Social media doesn't create emptiness, it postpones awareness of it. It gives your mind something to do while your inner life stays unresolved. This is why closing the app doesn't bring relief, it brings a strange restlessness instead. Your attention doesn't know where to land, your mind keeps reaching outward. Over time, your inner world grows quieter, not calmer, quieter, less accessible. You're constantly informed, but rarely present. You know what everyone else is doing, but you've lost track of what you're feeling. Scrolling fragments attention. Your thoughts never finish forming, your emotions never fully settle. Everything stays half-processed. You consume ideas without digesting them. You see emotions without feeling your own. You witness lives without inhabiting yours. And none of this happens suddenly. It happens gradually, quietly, without alarm. That's why it's hard to notice. Nothing feels wrong enough to stop, but nothing feels right enough to stay. Social media becomes a place you go not because it satisfies you, but because it prevents discomfort from fully arriving. Discomfort needs space. It needs boredom. It needs silence. It needs time. Scrolling removes all four. The more time you spend online, the less tolerance you have for inner friction. Any uneasy feeling feels urgent. Any pause feels unbearable. Any quiet moment feels incomplete. So you fill it. Again, and again, and again. This isn't about discipline, it's about conditioning. Your brain has learned that stillness equals discomfort and scrolling equals relief. But relief is not resolution. It fades quickly and leaves you reaching again. What's most unsettling isn't how much time disappears, it's how rarely you feel fully here. Your body is present, your attention is not. You move through life slightly detached, always half elsewhere, always one swipe away from distraction.
And slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. Your sense of self becomes quieter, less grounded, more reactive. You begin measuring your inner state through external feedback, through likes, through views, through responses. Even when you're not posting, you're comparing your life against curated moments, your ordinary days against edited highlights. You don't consciously feel inferior, you just feel vaguely behind. Behind in success, behind in happiness, behind in purpose. And because this feeling never fully settles, You keep scrolling, not to find answers, but to escape the question. The question of what you feel when the noise stops, the question of who you are when no one is watching. Social media doesn't steal your time all at once. It erodes your capacity to be with yourself. And that's why stepping away feels uncomfortable, because comfort was never the point. Avoidance was. The real tension isn't between you and your phone. It's between distraction and awareness. And the moment the screen goes dark, awareness starts knocking again. Over time, constant scrolling doesn't just affect your attention. It begins to shape how you see yourself. Your sense of identity quietly shifts outward. You start measuring yourself through comparison rather than reflection. You see fragments of other people's lives, carefully chosen moments, filtered emotions, edited success. Your mind doesn't register these as fragments. It registers them as reality. Without realizing it, you compare your unedited inner life to their curated outer life, and something inside you tightens. You don't always feel envy. Sometimes you just feel smaller, less certain, less complete. Social comparison doesn't announce itself. It operates silently, below awareness. Your brain is wired to measure belonging, to scan for status, to assess where you stand in the group. Social media turns this instinct up constantly. There is no pause, no neutral ground.
You're always seeing someone doing better, being happier, living louder. Even when you know it's curated, the emotional impact remains. Knowledge doesn't cancel conditioning. Slowly, your internal reference point weakens. You stop asking what feels right to you. You start asking how you measure up. Your identity becomes reactive. It rises with validation. It collapses with silence. When engagement drops, self-doubt fills the gap. When attention rises, relief follows. Not joy, relief. And relief fades quickly. This is how external validation replaces internal stability. Not dramatically, gradually. Your inner world becomes quieter, not because it's peaceful, but because it's crowded out. There's no room to hear your own thoughts, no space to feel unfinished emotions. Scrolling keeps everything moving. Nothing lingers long enough to be integrated. You become informed, but not embodied, aware, but not grounded. Even rest begins to feel uncomfortable. Silence feels empty instead of restorative. When the phone isn't there, something feels missing. Not content, orientation. Your nervous system has learned constant input. Stillness feels unfamiliar. This is why time alone feels restless, why boredom feels agitating, why quiet moments feel incomplete. It's not that you dislike yourself. It's that you've rarely been alone with yourself without
Not because you want to escape life, but because you haven't been taught how to sit inside it. Social media doesn't remove your identity. It fragments it. You become many versions of yourself: observer, comparer, consumer, responder, but rarely experiencer. Your sense of self becomes porous, easily influenced, easily shaken. Trends shape your opinions before reflection catches up. Outrage arrives before understanding. You react more than you respond, absorb more than you process. And slowly, something essential weakens: your ability to feel internally complete without feedback. You may still feel confident, capable, functional, but beneath that, there's a subtle dependency, a need for noise, a need for reassurance. Not because you're weak, but because your system has adapted to constant stimulation, constant comparison, constant interruption. Stepping away feels uncomfortable because your identity has learned to lean outward, and rebuilding an inward anchor takes time. This isn't about deleting apps. It's about noticing what fills the silence when you don't scroll. Because the discomfort you feel offline isn't emptiness. It's unprocessed experience. Thoughts waiting to finish forming. Emotions waiting to be felt. The self waiting to be heard. And the more time you spend scrolling, the less familiar that self feels. Not because it's gone, but because it's been ignored.
The question isn't whether social media is good or bad. The question is, what happens to a person who never sits with themselves long enough to know who they are, and what might return if they finally did?